Also,
All right.
her
I
mom
think I got
basically
it
called me.
sorted. What do I have plugged in that does that?
I don't know. I thought it was me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Well then. Hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 382 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on January 30th, 2023.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show, just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist, buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
And that takes us to my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? And one item you've recently completed on the Patriot Challenge. As is tradition, we will start with Liz. Liz, what are you drinking this evening?
Today I am drinking champagne, well, sparkling wine, and pomegranate juice.
Fancy.
Because why not?
Yeah.
I found it in my fridge and I'm like, hey, this seems like it would go together.
Good antioxidants in the pomegranate juice.
Right?
No, I could see that. I mean, like a mimosa is sparkling
orange
wine and
juice,
orange
yeah.
juice. So like,
It's the same idea.
It's a red mimosa.
so
Yeah.
this is like a pomosa. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'll
Why would
allow
it be a
it.
mimosa?
Yeah.
What? Well, there's something about orange that ends up in the word mimosa.
I
mean,
know.
like
I
literally
don't
one
really.
letter O, but otherwise I see no overlap.
The
But
worst
there's
part,
an O in
though,
pomegranate, so you can still call it a mimosa.
right?
Is it?
But pomegranate has an O in it.
I think we're trying to make connections where they don't belong. But I'll follow your line of reasoning here, because by the time I get to the bottom of this, I am going to be having a good Monday evening. So
All right. I like it.
That's how that works.
I'm curious what the etymology of the word mimosa is. Something to look into later.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so off the Canadian Patriot Podcast Challenge, I didn't officially accomplish any of those things today because I didn't hit all the time benchmarks, if that makes sense. So, like I half an hour exercise, not 45 minutes. I practice. I'm like
Patriot Challenge Light.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that, So I got like a liter of water consumed, so not good enough. I have more that I'm going to work on tonight, but I did read some stuff, but I didn't track it. I'm sometimes really bad at metrics. So
Well, that's okay. We can make up for that. We have good metrics.
There you go.
Yeah, the best metrics, some would say.
You guys are just a little crazy about that, but whatever.
Everything is a contest. You should be a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, everything is. Okay, so next is Pierre.
I figured all three panelists weren't going to be drinking because of last week, so I figured I'd drink a lot of whiskey before and during the show. So I'm drinking whiskey. Patriot Challenge, I went down a few rabbit holes, did a bunch of research on some stuff and practiced some skills with the new rifles. Started taking them apart way more than I've taken apart some of my other toys and tools. So I went down that rabbit hole of YouTube video after YouTube video and asking questions and all that stuff. So that's been fun. Getting ecstatic because we're almost at the point where it's like, let's go shoot them and sight them in and get all that done. So that, and obviously water. Drink lots of water. What about you, Gavin?
Well, day 28 of 75 hard, so still going strong. So that means I'm getting my exercise in twice. I did take it a little easy on the exercise today because my legs are getting a little sore from being 28 days in and walking and cycling and all of that stuff. But I still got out and did it.
How do you track that? Like, what would your standard twice a day look like?
So I get up about 6:30 in the morning and get dressed right away, and then hop on my stationary bike for 45 minutes and get, usually somewhere between 16 and 18 kilometers.
Wow.
The bike tells me how far I did. It does it in miles because it's some crazy American thing, and then I just have to convert it. But so I'll do that, and then doing the ruck challenges as well. So once a week, throwing the pack on. Otherwise, I kind of go for a walk, and I try to move at a reasonable pace. So getting somewhere very close to a 10-minute kilometer or just under when I'm moving. So that's kind of like my standard for calling it exercise rather than just dicking around.
Sure.
But if I start to sweat at least a little bit, then it's exercise, right?
Yep.
So try to do that. Although I did take it a little bit easy today, just because the 28 days of 2 workouts is starting to take its toll just a little bit. So
Well, and if you're doing those 2-a-days, both as cardio, that tends to fatigue some things.
I was hoping to get some variation in when I was away in Texas and in Vegas the last couple of weeks, but it was a little chilly, so going for a swim in the outdoor pool was not in the cards.
No.
So but then doing all that stuff, drinking all my water, and just being generally fit, I guess, or trying to be. Andrew, what are you drinking this evening, good sir?
You may be surprised to hear this, but I'm drinking water.
Shocking.
I hate everything.
Yeah.
Awful. I don't know what day we're on. I've given up on counting. They've all blended together, and not in the fun bender kind of a way.
Yeah, the weird.
But you should also be very consistent on how many days. If your day 76 is going to be your bender.
I should probably start counting down the days so that I can make sure that the house is adequately stocked with alcohol.
Well, it just might make you feel better too.
Yeah,
Well, just
there's a point where it's going to get lower numbers to count down and count up.
So what you got to do
only
is
6 more days.
Add one more thing to the list of things you do every day, and that's buy 1 bottle of beer or 1 can of beer every day and put it in the fridge.
Perfect.
There you go. Look at that.
I can use my 45 minutes of exercise to walk to the liquor store.
Yeah. And then that way on the end, I did the math.
That's the outside part.
Yeah. And mine will be over March 19th, I believe. So just a little after St. Patty's Day.
After St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. I knew it was close, but I counted. And I believe you're a day or so ahead of me.
Something to that effect. I have 45 days left for anyone that's keeping score at home.
Yeah, so I think you're a day ahead, maybe 2 days ahead of me. So you might be sober on St. Patty's Day, or that could be your first day of non-sobriety.
Well,
or just wait till midnight and you can still party on this St. Patty's Day celebration.
That is true.
I mean, you can kind of I don't know, make your own St. Patty's Day.
Yes.
I mean, that's basically what the Catholics in Ireland did, so why can't I?
Yeah, St. Hangover Day is often the least practiced day, at least the least celebrated day.
Big fan of the Metallica song. That's always a good time.
Yeah.
We're making up our own saints. Saint Anger.
Yeah.
The snare drum is freaking awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good for walking though.
It's true.
Yeah. An upbeat at the gym song. That's 100% a good song, but not a fan of the song. But you
not a fan of Metallica, but for the longest time I thought it was pronounced Metallica because I hadn't heard it. I had read it.
I can see that. We could talk the first up until Black Album, pretty decent band. But Black Album and even some of those are iffy, and then past that, up for debate about still being a good rock / metal / whatever you want to call it band. But
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to debate, but I'm going to just generally say that Metallica is not the greatest rock band that they believe they are.
Oh, they're not the greatest rock band. They're
But
an
in-
okay band.
But in Lars Ulrich's mind, he's the greatest person to ever anything. And
Well,
I mean, positive mental attitude does go a long way.
Yeah. Going
maybe,
along with
yes.
your pronunciation issues, I did see a funny joke today.
Okay.
There's
Go on, please.
a kid in school, and they have the big book of animals, and the teacher points at the picture and goes like, "What's that?" And he's like, "A frickin' elephant." And she's like, "What?" Like, yeah, it says so right there, a frickin' elephant.
That's pretty
They
good.
look at it and they're like, "Oh, African elephant."
That's
The
pretty good.
pronunciation needs to be
Yeah, so the
Correct.
emphasis on the correct syllable.
yeah.
Oh gosh, that's great.
So I mean, so reading can be complicated because a little while ago,
English is a
Liz
difficult
ch-
language.
Oh, the
but a
worst.
little while ago, Liz changed the thing to the Rebel Wanderer. I was like, I initially thought it was their Bell Wanderer, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
I get it. And then she said it, and I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
see it now, right? But like, so
Yes, it's
I
a
mean,
classic case of the penis mightier.
yeah,
What?
It can be.
the pen is mightier. Penis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Right.
for-
But like, if you
Yes.
don't put spacing where you want it to, like,
It's
I get
true.
Yeah.
very confused.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to play along and do the Patriot Challenge at home, website on the template, template on the website. And I have been informed that the feedback link on the website goes to a broken URL, which I've looked at, and it is not broken. It appears that WordPress has done an update, and the plugin that we were using that drives the widget that was the feedback form is broken. So
Okay.
I guess I need a new widget.
Flip
So all the people
flip the
that were-
W.
I was
Just flip
gonna
the
say.
W.
So all the people, a midget, you need a midget? Okay.
Yes. Midgets make everything happen.
It's
Okay.
not
At
how
least
the
funny.
internet works, but I mean, sure.
It's worth a shot.
I don't know. So many issues.
Well, if you'd like to send us feedback, the best place to do that's going to be email, at least until I fix the thing. CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback works in that there's a page and it loads, which is not what I was originally led to believe. However, the widget is defective.
Yep.
So
for those of you who think he has 1,000 times more disdain for the audience, he does try to fix it.
no, I haven't tried to fix it at all. I don't even know when I'm going to get around to fix it, but I looked into what the problem
He
was.
just knows that it's not broken, really.
There you go.
But it is.
Step.
Well, the WordPress update broke something, and WordPress is due for another update anyway. So when I fix that, I'll fix the plugins, and then I'll fix the widgets the plugins are being driven by, and
Well,
other way around. Fix the widgets the plugins are driving. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just let the listeners know c'est tout cassé, which is the French way of saying it's all broken. And I mean, they won't understand it, and you sound fancy saying it. C'est tout cassé.
What he said.
I go with Pierre. Sounds good to me.
There you go.
Well, shall we get into the news? This is going to be the continuation of last week's conversation. We started talking about stuff. Liz and I were about to have an argument. I put a pause on the show. I kind of forget where we left that. So
me
healthcare
too.
news.
Me too.
Man, I can't even
So
blame being drunk.
I mean, so I don't remember, and my thing is I had a bunch of whiskey, but I've got more to say because
no, we
of my
talked about
interactions with doctors today.
Oh,
I think that's fair. Last week, for recap, we were talking about the alcohol is bad, 2 drinks a week, because otherwise cancer. Also, labels are hard to read, and don't worry, narcotics are going to be decriminalized for personal possession.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't remember
And
how
you
we segued that into healthcare though.
I think it was to do with the costs of healthcare for people making
Yeah,
poor
so-
choices.
One
Oh,
of the
yeah,
articles
maybe.
we had was how much alcohol use, tobacco use, opioids all that stuff was cost utilization for, or not, whatever you want to call it, for the healthcare system, employment insurance, and a whole bunch of stuff if you're an addict or you get into the
Yeah.
hospital because you're liver failure, this, that. If you've been working somewhere for so long, you go on short-term disability, long-term, and you do pay into that as well as your work pays into that. So yeah, that's how all that went.
Well, I mean, I guess to just spin off that, like, there's such a ripple effect when you get into any kind of substance, and the fact that, you know, there's constant attempts to decriminalize things and to, you know, make things legal. I don't actually see a good way getting out of it. And we did talk about this last week a bit, you know, because the structure, the social structure, the culture, the actual family dynamic is breaking down to a degree that, you know, people are just becoming less capable humans. So regardless of whether or not it's a decriminalization or whatever, like, costs of therapy go up, as you know, as the offset to people needing, you know, medical aid for addiction. You know what I mean?
So there's not even that. So we're half-assing what anything has happened over in Europe. I don't remember which country, Europe. I know
Okay.
there's a bunch of countries, right? But like somewhere they literally decriminalized the possession, all narcotics, and crime rates went down. People
What-
kind of sorted out their life a little bit better. So we're kind of half-assing it, as in, like, we legalized marijuana, but we're also bending you over on taxes. We're burning 90% of our profits because they initially thought they were gonna do anything with taking away the black market, but it's still cheaper
Sure.
to go to your local dealer to do whatever. So now they're slowly decriminalizing anything because they've seen a pattern somewhere where they said, hey, everything's a freebie, nothing. And it kind of balanced out there in a way where, you know, half of our crime related shootings, stabbings, murder, assaults, even drug possession charges, they're all related to you've got too much, you're in the wrong area, you're on my corner when I'm supposed to sell on that corner, and a whole bunch of stuff like that, where I don't know how they did it over there. I don't know the whole details of how they did it in Europe,
Well,
but they did decriminalize almost everything, where I'm like, you
Yeah,
can walk around and like shoot up.
But here's the question though, and I'm not saying yay or nay for that. I think that I guess what I'm saying is that there's a strain on the medical system regardless. Because I think that there's some social issues that, you know, either push people into addiction, like, or help encourage them into addiction to deal with, you know, their trauma and their shit. Or you have people who are using addiction as a coping method. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to leave that thought there because my brain is not connecting. That champagne must have been pretty heavy, but
okay, because we're going on a whole side tangent where I'm going to get banned and arrested tonight.
No,
but
I do.
You're talking, like,
but I kind of wonder though, like, first of all, doubtful. We've talked about some crazy shit before and we haven't really got banned. So yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a 2023 goal. But there's this other thing too, where I think that the metrics that they're using to identify whether or not decriminalizing things has been successful is just trash, because the metrics are relying on data of them arresting or prosecuting people with drug charges.
Wait,
of
you're
course
saying that
it's going to go down.
You're saying that the statistics are made up and support the position that the government is in?
Absolutely.
We decriminalize drugs, so drug crime is down. Is that?
Yeah, like, look, crime in general, like, right? You know what I mean? Like, it makes it look better. Oh, let's decriminalize something, and then it just makes crime look less prevalent.
I think the example that
It's not
Pierre was
solving a
searching for
problem.
is, I think the example Pierre was looking for is in Portugal. Portugal has legalized a lot of narcotics.
I no, there's a European country that is
Is
also
Portugal not part of Europe anymore?
It does. It is. It
so-
100% is.
I
Portugal is
wouldn't-
part of Europe. Yes.
Oh, okay, then sure, it's Portugal.
Yeah.
But like, there's somewhere where they said, "Fuck it, kind of do what you want as long as you're not like
I'm not
starting a
gonna
drug
lie.
war."
I watched
But,
a
like-
lady practically take a shit in downtown Lisbon on the street. So
Well,
I'm not gonna say that it's a better situation.
Awful.
But
Sounds awful.
But
Yeah.
like there are definitely some positive things. Maybe positive's the wrong word, but like some positive things that can come from legalization, where the resources that are spent putting people in jail and doing all of this can be put to other programs. But also, I mean, you look at these neighborhoods where they put these safe injection sites and everything else, and all of a sudden, like, you take a neighborhood that had, the average level of crime for the surrounding area, all of a sudden skyrockets, because you've brought all of these people into an area where, in order to maintain their drug habit, they need to commit crimes to afford the drugs. So
okay, so if you're looking at it from a financial perspective, I think if you're going to decriminalize and move resources away from prosecution and, arrest and that sort of thing, you also have to remove these methadone clinics, these safe injection sites, like remove it all.
Well,
like, you can't
absolutely,
trade
but I
one for
mean-
the other. And I think that's the problem, is like, and you did obviously, we've touched on it on every topic imaginable. It's a smoke and mirrors. It's like, oh, hey, let's pull from one area to make it look good, but we're not actually going to, and we're going to invest in another area to make it look better, but we're really just shuffling around and we're not addressing the problem. Because if you talk about the strain on the medical system, so on a financial level, if you talk about the strain on the medical system, the decriminalization of stuff, it doesn't reduce the amount of consumption of drugs. It's just adjusting where that flow of income and resources is going. That's all. Because now, honestly, okay, so let's talk about weed for a second. Okay, since pot has become
talking about weed.
You what?
I love talking about marijuana.
Okay. So
how much is the bushel?
Well, I don't. I have to say, like, I'm not like savvy as to like all the deets on pot, but like, how many people do you know, since it's become decriminalized and legal, how many people do you know actively recreationally participate? So I'm not saying it would be the same effect, but there's definitely been a severe increase in use because people feel more comfortable to.
I don't know if there's necessarily been an increase, but there has certainly been an increase in the openness of use. Because like, you go like before, you'd go to a rock concert and it would smell like pot.
Sure.
But that would be kind of it. Like, maybe occasionally you'd catch a whiff somewhere on the street, but now it's friggin' everywhere.
Absolutely.
Like, you go outside anywhere and it smells like weed.
So that's what I'm saying, is that it's not like, it's not adjusting the volume of consumption. It's not really addressing the issues that they're claiming it's addressing. There's still a strain on the healthcare system, because even if what you're saying, Gavin, is that they're just becoming public with their use. And again, pot like is a very ridiculous comparison.
So I mean, like, there's also a small little side thing that we could do here, where I'm like, if we want to do this, I vote that we should put suppressors being illegal in Canada and get a tax credit to buy an excavator. And we could solve the whole healthcare system, the whole judicial system. Like, I'm
pretty
not
sure
wrong.
I've seen that happen. I'm pretty sure we've seen that happen in other countries, and it just turns into like a despot. That's all.
I'm not wrong. Like, so also kind of fine, all the fucking left-wing people will say like, oh, that's a horrible idea. But I'm like, say sort of these people, we're all firearms owner. Obviously, we're not complete.
Nah, I'm a fed.
according to the law, we're not horrible people. Maybe if I offend you from time to time with what I state, but if I decided that if someone decides to kick in my door to try and steal my fancy TV on the wall, and I say, hey, that's a bad idea, and I do something about it, and then I get a tax credit for purchasing an excavator for specific reasons, there's no tax burden on the judicial system. There's no tax burden on the healthcare system.
How about morals?
And
Let's talk about the moral implications
what-
here.
It's not a burden on
There's
Pierre's
no
moral
morals
system.
at that point. You
Apparently.
kicked my door in and got into my house. Morals are out the window.
Wow.
If I specifically go walking down the road to look for another person walking, then we can talk about morals being a wrong thing. But
Well,
there's a point
put a
where I'm
pin
like,
in-
if you come into my safe area, which we'll just call it my home, your property, your house, you kick in my door at 3:00. Morals are out the door. There's nothing I am going to do that will be considered unmoral to any person defending their family.
I'm going to put a pin in that because we're way off of healthcare, but
Yeah.
also I'm going to welcome Darren to the show. Hi, Darren. Is your audio
Hey.
working?
What's up? I can hear you.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
We skipped you at the
Welcome,
beginning.
welcome.
Welcome. Are you drinking?
I am drinking.
What are you drinking, sir?
I am drinking some. What is it? It's some rum, but it is I can't even remember what I'm drinking.
It's
Is that
rum.
good? Yeah.
Some sort of
Rum.
rum.
Cool.
There you go,
Yeah.
buddy.
But I want to say welcome, or no, welcome me. Thank
Yes,
you.
we are
for
trying
welcoming
to.
You can
That
tell I
rum
have been
is
drinking.
giving ya.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Darren's full send. All right, let's do this.
Wow.
Good.
All right. So
Good.
aside from Pierre's fiscal policy on saving the healthcare system by burying the bodies, maybe we can.
I didn't say I was burying on them. I just said I got
Right.
a
You
tax
just
credit
said
for
you're getting
getting
an
an
excavator.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's for
Practicing your-
unrelated reasons. Completely
Yeah.
unrelated.
Reasons.
I mean,
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not saying they correlate, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be down for it.
Well, we'll go back to the articles there that I put in the show notes a little bit, and we'll direct this on. So in Ontario, which we know is the home of the center of the universe, in Ontario, Doug Ford's healthcare plan might be worth a shot. This is an opinion piece on TVO today from the middle of January. It's a follow-on. There's a follow-on piece also in TVO from the middle of January. The province has failed. Canada needs to nationalize healthcare.
No.
Which allow me to give a brief summary of the second article. Because
Okay.
the provincial governments are so bad at managing healthcare, we're going to federalize it and let a greater level of government mismanage healthcare. That's roughly the
No.
thrust of the article.
No.
So
Stresses
I want
me
to interject here
Yes,
Right away.
because I'm about to lose my shit.
and say that I welcome private healthcare. Being a Canadian and having dealt with Canadian healthcare for
Ugh.
almost 50
Ugh.
years of my life.
Oh,
Well,
my
I didn't really
goodness.
deal with it as like up until like 14 or 15 years, but 50 years of my life, I took my grandson in to get stitches for a cut in his forehead. And I waited 7 hours in the emergency healthcare to get stitches in his forehead. 7 hours to get stitches for my grandson in his forehead.
So
I
I'm not
would've-
gonna lie, that's pretty good timeline.
I would have paid $300, $400, $500, $600 easily to have him served immediately. So in my opinion, if we did some sort of form of private healthcare and public healthcare where those who can afford private healthcare or want to pay for private healthcare, so be it. So take, for example, we have the system we have now, but I'm able to take my grandson in. Suddenly he gets a cut in his forehead like he did. And I say, okay, I want him seen right away. I will pay $600 right now to have his stitches done. And it's done. So in that kind of system where there is private and public, the doctors could switch between public and private. So say they serve 1 year in public health care. While then again, after they've served their 1 year in public, they can then switch to 1 year in private. And all the taxes or what have you from private healthcare was suddenly paid to the public healthcare system. So say the taxes I paid for having my grandson stitched up right away was put into public healthcare to have more money funded into public healthcare.
Yeah. So you're using your private service as a funding model for your public service.
Would that
so
not
I have a
be good?
well, I have
And
a, I have
then
a question
those
in that vein.
doctors serve 1 year in public, 1 year in private. What, like, can we not find some sort of
I have a
middle
question in
ground?
that vein. So with OHIP in Ontario, if you're a physician, if you're a doctor, say you're a GP, like a family doctor, somebody in your office does billing and you bill OHIP for the service. So the government's not just giving the doctor a salary. The doctor has to claim that they have provided a specific service with a billing code,
Right.
and a published rate table that the OHIP system is paying. So if I don't know what the rate for stitches is, but if you go into your family doctor's office and you get a checkup, you put in the code for checkup, and the OHIP sends the doctor's office a set amount of money. And out of that amount of money, the doctor gets paid, and the rent for the building gets paid, and the nurse gets paid, and the person that did the claim for OHIP gets paid, and all of that comes out of the operating for that business, right? Because each of those little practices is treated like a business, and hospital's not really any different than that. There's a group of administrative staff that run the hospital, and a bunch of doctors there, and they collect a salary. And maybe it's a little bit different because they're salaried. They're not like a GP where they own a practice, where they have their own business. But I don't see that as being any different, right? If you're in the emergency room and the patient is paying out of pocket, or you're getting an OHIP claim and you're getting reimbursed that way as a physician, like the doctor, in my mind, gets paid the same either way, whether they're doing public or private. The rate table doesn't change.
No,
What you're paying for would be the
whole
service.
thing is that people that talk about the Canadian healthcare system are worried about doctors being stripped from the public healthcare system into the private healthcare system.
Well, I think that's a
instead of
misnomer, right? 'Cause
providing
it's already
public
effectively
services,
private.
now they're providing
Yeah,
public.
well, but the
private
way they
services.
privatize it though is the stupid way, by just having like a sole provider that has the one contract, that way, like, it just gets stupid money. Like it's
Right.
not, there's no incentive to offer the same service for a better rate, because there's only one person that can offer the service, so they get whatever the flat rate fee is. And there's all kinds of ways to abuse that system, which we know the doctors are doing. I
Well,
believe,
I don't
Right,
think I blame
but
the
if we can
specific
offer a
doctors.
system where
yeah,
the public doctors or any doctors whatsoever in Canada can serve a certain amount of time in public,
Yeah.
as well as open up a private service.
Yeah.
So
and
they have to
Australia has something
do
similar
kind of
to that.
dual duty,
Yeah.
where they serve public as well as they can service their own private clinic.
So I'm just gonna go real quick, straight to the point. So I'm not opposed to this where I'm like, hey, I got $600 in my pocket. Can you take care of my daughter real quick? I don't want to sit here for 6 hours. The unfortunate thing is some people may not have that option. So you need to separate,
But-
you need to separate where there's a OHIP
but so
hospital, clinic, whatever, and there's a place where I can go and just be like,
yeah,
I
no,
want
they
to be
run
out
as
of here in
separate.
20 minutes, and I'll pay
and we're not
$600.
saying that people without money can't access that.
Right.
But if you
and
have,
I just want to,
like me,
I want to make sure
where I would pay anything to have my grandson serviced right away to have his stitches so that he didn't have a scar on his forehead for the rest of his life like he does now. I would pay whatever.
So
like
what
I
you're
would pay
saying is
$1,200
is maybe
right
if there
now
was an
to have
option,
him stitched up.
right?
Well, so
Is
this
that-
is
So
how, like, the
If
Australian
there was a
model
way
is that
for
way.
me
So
to pay that,
Mhm.
and then whatever taxes or whatever percentage of that goes into then private
Yeah.
or into public healthcare.
But
by all
I'm just
means,
saying
whatever.
there needs to be
Yeah,
that
but so-
fine line definition of
well, so this
you're
is
not going to the hospital and saying, "Hey,
No,
I'm
no.
going to pay," and you
So-
get pushed ahead of someone else.
no.
there
So
needs
the
to
way
be
that
that
it
defined
works,
line.
at least in Australia, there are two separate facilities. There is the paid system facility, and there is the free facility, which is paid through tax dollars. And you have
Then
the
I'm good with
same
that.
doctors that work at both facilities. They do like 2 days at one, 3 days at the other kind of a thing. Some will work all at one and all at the other, but they're able to work at both the public and private. And so that way the people that have the money can go and pay to have whatever it is that they want done immediately.
Yeah.
Or as soon as they can, which then means that there are fewer people in line at the free one. So those people are getting seen faster as well.
Yeah.
And there's more incentive for people to become doctors, because if they work in the private sector, they can make more money because it's a pay for service kind of a thing.
My only
people-
opposition. Sorry, finish
Yeah.
your thing.
No,
Finish
but the
your thing.
people then in the public system are still getting paid well because they can jump back and forth between those.
So this is my biggest concern with privatization and a multi-tiered system is because our government is fantastic at regulating things. If there's no incentive for providers to work in the public part of the system,
They won't.
because there's no financial incentive.
No,
then
and
they
that's
won't.
why I would
And-
say is that there has to be some sort of thing where, you work, if you're going to work in the private sector, then
you have to
work,
also have some
say,
amount of public
1 year
sector.
in the public sector.
Yeah, a year
I
on off,
wouldn't
a day
even-
on off. It needs
Yeah.
to balance. So that
I,
you're-
I
One
would
year
say
here,
1 to
1
2
year
days
there,
a week
Or
working.
1 year instruction to be able to bring new doctors up. There has to be some sort of
you need to balance it. And I would prefer to see
1
that
year
it was
here,
administered
1
by a
year
single.
there, or if you're
right.
going to spend all your time in private, then you need to spend a partial part of that time instructing new doctors to come up into the public system.
Right. So
There
give back
has to
program.
be
I
that.
can get
back and
behind
forth.
that.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And I think
you-
we already have this with a bunch of our private stuff because we have dentists is a good example in the YouTube chat. Dentists are already private business, and dentist's office don't really operate any different than your family doctor's office does. The only difference is you're not billing 80 different
Yeah,
insurance companies, you're billing OHIP. But the billing process is basically the same.
Yeah.
So
I
I guess
guess
in
Rate
that-
code and
like I've got issues with dentists because it's like my daughter's coming up to
A lot of people have
dentist.
issues with dentists.
Yeah.
It's a normal phobia.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So, but not even that. It's just like my daughter hasn't been in a while because the whole COVIDs and they're all backed up and blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, well she hasn't been there in like a year and a half. What's it cost for like a checkup and a clean? And they're like, yeah, we don't know.
So
I'm like,
well, but that's
so
Mm.
that's
there's
the
some-
thing. I have a problem. Like, so I had a crack.
They
That's
know
just
what it
a shitty
costs.
doctor's office because it's a published rate table because all the
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah.
companies, at least in the province of
Right.
Ontario, maybe this varies for other parts of Canada, but at least in Ontario, there's a published rate table that everyone agrees to pay in the insurance industry. And that's
So-
the rate that every dentist is going to charge
But
because
that's
what
not
they-
even a thing, right? So
but
years
they
ago,
will try to charge more if they can. That's or less. So like if they know that this is a make or break for you and you won't get the thing done because you don't have insurance, they will sometimes charge you less money than what the rate is
Yes.
in the book.
so was it like that's
So-
not even what I'm getting at. So like I cracked a tooth 4 or 5 years ago. Took a bite of something and I was like, hey, there's half my fucking tooth. Took a sip of coffee and I was like, sweet, I didn't hit the nerve. So I called, we were moving into the small town where we were previous to where we are now. And I'm like, hey, I got a cracked tooth. And they're like, yeah, no problem. I was like, I got benefits. They're like, we don't direct bill, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ballpark, what's this gonna cost? They're like, yeah, we don't know. I'm like, what the fuck you mean you don't know? I was like, it's a
Yeah, it
cracked
just
tooth.
sounds like a shitty office.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is like the 4th dentist office where I'm just like, what do you mean I'm coming in and dealing with like a blank slate bill? I'm like, you can't give me a ballpark. They're like, it's different if you tell me it's going to be between $200 and $600. I was like, at least I've got a ballpark depending on the extent of
Yes.
repair
Yeah, I
you
mean,
need, whatever, right? Like
Dentists are also known for being in the profession predominantly to make a lot of money.
douchebags.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
No,
you pronounce
they're there.
douchebag
They-
wrong. You pronounce
No, they are,
douchebag
and-
wrong.
Sorry. Dentists, also known as douchebags, according to Pierre.
Yes.
You know, for the most part, they get into that profession because it is a very equitable one.
Yeah,
And
profitable.
they-
Which I mean, most
Absolutely.
people get
And I
into their
mean-
profession to make
Yeah.
money. I'm not going to fault
Absolutely.
people for
You-
that.
And
If
I
you're not
actually-
getting into something to make money, then
yeah, then you're kind of
Straight to gulag.
Yeah.
No, then maybe
Yeah.
you're just
Straight to
somebody who-
OnlyFans.
then you're
Who-
gonna be like my brother, who's a starving artist in Toronto.
I was gonna say, then you're a starving artist.
Yeah.
Or but I think that where a lot of people get a little caught up, I actually don't have a problem with dentists. I don't have a problem with that system because you know what? That's all part of, like, you can't have so many layers that you're like, oh, hey, I want it this way, but I want this, and this exception. A dentist is a good example of, you know, they already have certain things like, hey, the insurance companies will only pay this much. So there's a certain level of,
Yeah,
we're only going to charge this much, right?
Right.
But
Which again,
aside
like
from
having the
that-
published rate table, I'm
Absolutely.
on board with that.
But
So-
aside from that, they don't have a lot of other, like, it's your insurance or it's out of pocket that's getting paid.
Yeah.
I don't
My
have
only
a problem with that system. I really
problem
don't.
with them is that, like, they will try, and it's not so much a problem with dentists, it's a problem with the way that the system works and the insurance and all of that works, but they will try to maximize, especially if they know you're on an insurance plan,
Yeah.
every single penny out of your program, whether you need it or not.
So
that's
but
why you
this
get all
is-
those-
That's a good business practice, though.
I
You
was
should
gonna
be
say-
trying to make
This
all
is
of
where
the
you
money.
just need to be an
A
advocate
better-
for
yes,
yourself and to just say,
absolutely.
no, I'm not going in for that last cleaning at the end of the
Absolutely.
year to use the last little bit of my money, because even
Yeah.
though it's not my money, it's still costing money somewhere in the thing, and
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
need it. But that's up to
that's-
you to.
This is the problem,
Yeah.
is that people do not understand the system well enough.
Yeah.
I mean, the average person, and you, Gavin, probably know this better than anybody, the average person that has a health benefits plan at work either does not sign up for it because they're like, oh, that seems like a lot of work to understand it, or they don't use it or misuse it, or they bitch about it because they
Yeah,
don't
there's
even
so many
understand
that
the whole
misuse
system.
it as well, where
Absolutely.
they're like,
Yeah.
oh, my back hurts. I need a chiropractor to come into the office.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I need to work where Darren
I was gonna
works.
say, I was like,
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
who has a
we're-
chiropractor that comes into the office?
okay,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't comment on this then.
Yeah. Like, that sounds like a
No,
pretty
but-
good gig.
but right. So
Do you get to
the
claim
whole
that through
separate thing-
insurance, or they just tell you they're a
we
chiropractor?
do actually.
Yeah, but that's the point though. So I guess
But again,
a lot
it comes
more-
down to a person. Sorry, Liz.
No,
it
that's
comes
okay,
down
you
to
go
a
ahead.
person who's like, you know, what actually you contribute
Yeah.
to your own personal health.
Yeah.
Or something where it is actually a ongoing problem that is work related. So it's
and I
something
mean
that
the ongoing problem that's work related, that's got its own insurance.
So
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a whole other thing.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, yes
So-
and no, but like, I mean, if I injure myself at work, WSIB takes care of it.
Sure.
But if I just
you-
get like carpal
Hopefully.
tunnel or a sore back,
nah, you can get
Yeah, but you have
chronic
to
workplace illness if you can
have
prove
to
it.
prove, but that's That's the thing, is that you have to prove it, and then that it was caused by work and not something
Yeah, but if
else.
you're on
No,
a keyboard, if you're on a
if-
keyboard at
If
work,
I injured myself at work, it would be like drinking related. So like,
Yeah,
Let me take
that's
this one
probably
back
not going to
to,
be.
a better, a more hospital-y example, cataract
Right,
surgery,
so,
which
I
is
mean-
one of the things in Ontario they're planning on changing. So
Yeah.
currently,
Okay.
OHIP covers cataract surgeries at hospitals through our publicly funded system.
okay.
You get the option that they give you. There's no choices. Cataract surgery is cataract surgery. You get this model lens, and this is how they install it,
Right.
and this is what it is. And cataract surgery is not a good time, right? Like that's
Hey.
nobody's looking forward to doing that.
no,
Now, if I told you that you can get your cataract surgery, OHIP's going to cover it, and whatever the cost is, I don't know, it's thousands of dollars to get cataract surgery. Like
it's
thousands
not
of dollars
fun,
in
no
films, right?
matter which way it goes.
No, but they're going to open up your eye and they're going to put a lens in there. But
Yeah.
if they're doing that anyway, and OHIP's going to cover that, and it's thousands of dollars in hospital fees. If I told you that for the low price of an extra $500, I could give you like the premium lens. If I could give you the upgrade lens, instead of getting the plastic one, you get like the nice micro whatever one with the self-cleaning and the whatever. And there's like
Sign me up.
there's a little upgrade,
Yeah.
but it's going to
It's got
cost you,
wiper
it's going to cost you
systems and everything?
$500. Well, whatever. It's like the upgraded lens, right?
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
better one. Much like
Yeah.
you get your glasses.
It's like
covered through most
Driving a
people's
BMW
insurances.
with the self-wiping lens on your
Yeah,
headlights.
you got to get the better headlight. But if you had like
Yeah.
your work insurance is going to cover glasses for most people every 24 months, right? You can go
Right.
and you can get the $20 buy on the internet glasses, or you can go get like the fancy blue light UV blocking transitions one, and they're like $600. But you could pay the extra. You could get what the insurance gives you, or you could buy the better one.
Well, Gavin already signed me up for the blue light blocking
Oh, yeah, I'm just-
lenses.
I'm-
So
Gavin
Yeah.
is a good salesman for those.
Yeah.
I'm
I
all
know,
on that
I
train.
know.
I picked up, I have to say, after you guys were talking about it at the New Year, Andrew, I think you were talking about it on New
Yeah.
Year's. I
That's
went,
very possible.
yeah, I
Yeah.
went and got myself a pair. No, you were talking about how, like, I don't know, for like a half an hour or something, you walk around the house before you go to bed.
Oh,
and
it's more
just,
than
like,
that, but yeah.
Yeah, you know the idea. But
Yeah.
I went and bought a pair. World of difference.
Right?
World
Nice.
of difference. Yes.
It's,
It's
Okay.
But I
insane.
mean,
So
it's
back on
almost
the
like
cataract track.
pseudoscience is real science.
It
Yeah.
works if you believe it.
Something like
Back
that.
onto the cataract
I don't
track.
care if it's a placebo. Yes, back on the
No, but-
cataract. You're not
So
as
if-
much fun when you're not drinking, Andrew.
That I'm plenty of fun. I am plenty of fun.
Okay.
Speaking of
have
drinking,
as
my
much
word
whiskey
for it.
as me.
If you're gonna do that, if you're gonna do the
Cheers, buddy.
cataract surgery example, would you pay the upgraded price to get the premium lens? Some
Yes.
people I think might,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody,
Right.
Some
but
would.
if you had the means, if you had the money and you wanted the better version and you believe the better version was better for you
Yeah.
because of the placebo
Correct.
effect or otherwise, is there anything wrong with that? Is there
No.
a reason
I
why you
don't
couldn't
think so.
pay
At
the
that-
right?
That-
You should be
that
able to
point-
do that.
yeah.
But
So
I
at
would
that
actually prefer to
point,
be able to do
who are
that
you
now.
tell-
However, then you talk about people who are like, well, what about me? What about me? What about me? I can't afford that. What
Yeah,
about
but
me?
you know
you're
why
still getting
people are
the
like
base
that?
model that's being covered through
You know
you know
socialized
what
medicine.
though? There's a reason why people are like that, and it's because they haven't been exposed to real world well
Yeah.
enough.
They're
And that's
entitled
what
You
I'm
know?
saying. Like their cataract surgery is still getting paid for through socialized medicine. They're still
Absolutely.
getting seen by the same doctors in the same hospitals, but they're not getting the opportunity to buy the little
Well, it's-
extra perk, right?
Well, it's the same when you go get a cast, right? They give you a free plaster one, or if you want the fancy pink fiberglass one, you've got to pay extra for it because you don't
Yeah.
need the fancy
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah,
Alright.
but the 3M one is much better.
yeah,
Gavin, can I
Yeah.
write on your pink cast?
absolutely.
I'll give
Nice.
I'll give you a great example of this, and maybe a little bit too much insight into my life. But if you go to a doctor's office and you're like, oh hey, maybe I need to talk to somebody, mental health, whatever, they send you to their funded therapist, and it's
Yep.
free.
Yes, if they're part of a family health
Absolutely. And let me tell you,
organization,
yeah,
team,
yeah.
there's
But I mean,
there's a bunch of
even like
types of those.
CMFA, whatever. Anyways, Canadian Mental Health Association, CMHA, whatever. You get baseline care,
Yeah.
right? Or
Yes,
you could
check-
go
it's-
and
or you
spend
could go and pay
$100 or
for it.
$200 an hour
Yeah.
for a therapist, right? Like,
I wonder which
those are
one
the
provides the
options.
better service, the one that's being paid for by the government or one that you're
Right.
paying the $200 for. And maybe
And
this is that placebo thing again.
And again,
But things that are free don't have a lot of value. So
Right.
even if it's the same person,
Like it's
doing the same
almost the
work.
difference between surviving and thriving. Okay.
Yes.
So
True.
yeah, and that care is survival care. And I'm very comfortable with that being a baseline care because that provides all the needs. But that extra thrive comes from whether or not you can financially support an additional element, right?
There are those who need the
Mhm.
basic necessities
Mhm,
of survival,
mhm.
and we need to provide for them. There are others who can provide for
above.
themselves,
Yeah.
who can thrive. And in my opinion, we need to do something where those who can thrive can help support those who are on just the survival means.
Well,
That's
So
really
I
nice
have
of
a
you, but
question
I don't
for
know
you
if
in
I'm
that
that
vein.
much of a socialist.
Well, no,
I
have
am not a
question in that vein.
socialist at all,
No,
but I am hardcore capitalist. But
That's
in
a
my
whole
opinion
other
as
ballgame.
well, in Canada, we've already set up kind of a socialist economy. So to switch to something that is pure capitalism would be very hard.
Well, you're
So
gonna the survived
if
people
we
won't
can
make it if
switch
we
to
did that.
something
That's the
where we can kind of push it towards the
Do both.
capitalism
yeah.
that supports the socialism,
But
then
we haven't just
that would be
it hasn't been
much better.
done right. We
well,
should
it
just
hasn't been done
give
right.
it
Let
all-
me bring up that part of the.
You know, it hasn't been
That's
done
the
right.
classic thing
Just-
where
No,
just
but
like,
capitalism,
you know,
it just
a-
hasn't been done right.
Well, let's talk about a
Exactly.
specific example where it hasn't been done right. Hospital beds in Canada, as an average.
yeah.
Hospital beds every year, there are fewer and fewer in Canada, despite the fact that we pay
Correct.
more and more tax dollars towards our healthcare system.
Mhm.
If somebody would like to explain to me why I am paying more in taxes and we have less available spaces to provide healthcare,
We continue to pay taxes,
How
more
is-
taxes in everything,
But-
and there's less
I'm-
and less return
there's less
on those
return
tax
on that.
dollars.
so how is that working? If my healthcare costs, my national healthcare costs continue to go up every year, but the number of bed spaces, which is a really great example,
Okay.
especially in Ontario when we're talking about the nonsense that Ford is up to,
Sure.
the number
sure.
of beds keeps going down. And I mean,
I have
in
a
one of the
theory on
articles, they
this.
do talk about how it's like Ford
Mm.
specifically that was the problem. But I mean, we can go back all the way to like, this is a Bob Ray issue that the Liberals had
this-
a decade, 12 years with the Wynne government that they
But
the Ginty Wynne governments
quick
that they
I
came
thing
have
with.
a-
on that is the Ford government, what he's doing is already done in BC and Quebec.
So I do have a theory about this though, is, we talk about how our taxes have, continued to climb and, that has been across the board. But I do think that we have more people using the system without actually paying taxes. So
well, yeah,
I
but that's
do
also
kind of
because the
think,
liberals allowed
Yeah.
a bunch
Yeah.
of people to come to this
Absolutely.
Yeah.
country and vote
Right,
for the liberal
sure.
government,
And I mean,
we ended
yeah,
up with
but-
Trudeau.
but the reality is, regardless of the dubious nature behind why.
No, I'm with Liz. If you don't pay taxes,
No.
you don't get it.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
no
I mean,
services
so-
for you.
And there's a certain element. So I do think that dynamic has changed. Those scales have adjusted a lot. So when you talk about, the taxation of the average person, it is increased, but then we also have a larger demographic of people that maybe aren't feeding into the tax bank, for lack of a better word. And that's why
Yeah.
we're seeing that
So-
discrepancy, and it's shit and it's garbage. And I'm not necessarily for totally cutting off, benefits for people that don't pay taxes. Because there's some people
I
that
am.
on it. Okay. As
Pierce,
I
got a
honestly
backhoe, so
Yeah, that's true.
No,
no,
but I mean,
no.
There's
Let
black
me
and
finish.
there's white.
But
Boom.
they're actually, I mean, yeah, if you want to look at it that way, you're right. But there is this element of, you were just talking about, Darren, like we've got this communist side, this socialist side, that we
Correct.
can't go from one side to the other. We can't let that pendulum swing so hard, because we would have a giant fail and collapse in society.
Yeah.
Right. And that would just be a mess. Like, I'm not saying it's not a bad idea to move a little bit more towards that capitalist notion,
Correct.
but you can't do it so fast that society would collapse. And the other side of it too is that, you know, there are people out there that cannot care for themselves, that cannot maybe go out and get a job.
I
And
think
But
I
should
don't
the
necessarily
government be caring
know.
for those people.
I
No,
think
I-
not
no,
even
no,
do
no.
Government
it
at that point.
faster.
No.
It's just I don't think most people are ready for it.
Well, and that's what I mean, right? Is
Yeah.
it's got to be
Well,
at a
and-
fade. And Andrew, to your point, I don't know if the government should be caring for people that can't care for themselves. But the problem is that our culture is not picking up the slack. Okay,
Well,
we
but,
don't
I mean,
have
part
we
of
don't
the-
have like good donating.
Well,
People
so I have
like-
I have
Do
a
we
very
not
good
have
argument
those
for this.
things
though.
because we haven't needed them though? Because the government has been there to.
There's still a
provide
pretty
for
big
it.
need. There's still a pretty big need. The government
I
Okay.
says that
so
they support people, but
Well,
they're
but
kind of
that's-
shit at it.
Yeah,
So you
Here's-
go on the
here's
street
the
and you
big
still see a
thing.
lot of like
the
organizations.
government is shit at basically everything
Yes,
they
that's
do.
true,
So
too.
that's the problem.
That
here's
is
a
true.
big thing. If we went back to the way things used to be,
Yeah.
that rich people would actually pay for things.
Yeah, they'd be patrons of like, you know,
Yeah.
social programming
So
or
like
orphanages.
in Roman times where
Yeah.
you know, the rich people would actually pay for the roads, pay for the
Yeah.
buildings, pay for the libraries, pay for everything, where they saw some value out of if they paid for it, people would
Yep.
utilize those things and appreciate those
Yeah.
things and value that person.
Mhm.
Whereas now it's like everybody is taxed versus
Yeah, and-
someone who
yeah.
can afford
Wow.
to pay for those things does so.
Well,
Yeah,
and you
and
see
I-
that
and I have
even
a-
like in the 17th, 18th centuries, where there was like lords of land.
Right.
And that's
Well, I
where the
mean, we
whole
can-
serfdom kind of
Yeah.
comes in, right? Is
Yeah.
that they would just come and
But
they would be the workers
I
of that
mean,
land, but they were
I-
cared for.
I
Well,
think we
that's-
a more
if you
frequent.
think about it, it would be like Elon Musk and what's his name with
don't know, but I'm-
Microsoft and Amazon
Bill
and that-
Gates.
Oh, Bill Gates
Bill
and
Gates.
Jeff
George-
Bezos.
Jeff
Bill Gates,
Bezos,
Jeff
yeah.
Bezos.
Captain
And
Prince
this
talking
guy.
himself.
and they would
So-
start paying for the roads to be
Mhm.
able for
Well,
you know,
we've had
say
that. We've had that in recent
Bezos
history.
Pay for the roads to be able to have Amazon deliveries done.
Right.
And you know, that sort of thing, where Gates would have people or roads paid for so people can travel to his company to
Sure.
work for him.
Yeah.
We've had that as recently as 100 years ago. Andrew Carnegie, big
Yeah.
steel magnet guy, right?
Yeah.
Carnegie libraries are a big thing. There are
Right.
dozens, maybe 100 Carnegie libraries around Canada. So these are all publicly, they are all now
Privately?
public libraries that were privately built
Established,
by someone who made a lot of money in the steel industry.
There
Yes.
are even George Bush libraries.
Well, that's a presidential library. That's a little, I don't know if that's the same, because Carnegie was like, I
It's-
have all of this money that I don't know what to do with. I'm going to be like philanthropical
Well,
and
but
I'm
the-
going to like make people better. So in order
Yeah.
to do, but I mean, this is 100 years ago. This is 100 years ago.
Yeah.
A guy went out and built 100 libraries across Canada because he had more money than he knew
But-
what to do with.
This
Right.
is, I
Which I
think,
feel
goes
like
back
Gates
to a
and-
lot of the societal problems we have and the lack of, you know, societal values and all of the things. And, you know, the bigger the neighborhood gets and the more global we become, the less people think about doing things like that because they're so concerned
don't-
about
I
everything.
don't think that's a fair assessment. And again, I go back to my
Okay.
Carnegie example. This is a Scotsman who historically is a very cheap
Well, yes, but like it probably
And-
this is a
starts
And
Scotsman-
you're
off with
asking a
something.
Scotsman to
in
get rid
this
of
is a
money.
Scotsman in America
Yeah.
that built 100 libraries in
Yeah.
Canada because he was just being a good guy and had more money than God.
Yeah, but it probably started out locally and then expanded.
Oh, very, very,
And that's
very
what
more
like,
than likely.
it
that's
was one
the
of
case.
those.
I'm just saying, like
benefits
the,
us as
the
a whole, but-
internationalism example. I'm just going to like immediately stab
Yeah.
that to death because this is
Well,
a guy that
But it starts small and then grows from there, depending on the ability of somebody to do that, to the scale. But if more people paid
Correct.
more attention to what's going on in their own neighborhood and cared about their own neighborhood, we wouldn't need those things, because that's where charity starts, in the home, right?
And very few people care about their own neighborhood nowadays.
Yeah.
That's
How many
very fair.
people even know their neighbor?
Very few.
So,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a very rare exception, but me
I
and my
mean-
neighbor are 3 generations deep. So
I share a wall, like I wave at them and I say hello, but like
yeah.
I have no idea who the hell they are.
Yeah.
All right.
but
I have
so-
a
For us in the country here where we are, we're like, I want to say we're like a 15-minute walk to our neighbor, but
Mhm.
I know our neighbors very well. Like,
I think it's
um,
different in the country though. I really do.
Yes, but
I
you
can
start
go,
having
I can
more.
walk across the trails in the
Mhm.
backwoods to my neighbor and start yelling at him and say, "Hey, Stefan, what's going on?" And he'll yell something back in at French and me, and I'll like, "Yeah, whatever, okay, yeah." So
But I think you start having
that
that.
might be a rural thing.
you start
Maybe a
having
French
more
thing.
traditional old world values the
Yeah.
further out of the city you go, because
Absolutely.
they've sort of
it's
been
true.
able to maintain a lot of that. And I think that's what
Correct.
boils down to a lot.
But
because
there's also a sense of survivalism too when you've kind of spread yourself
but-
out, a
Well,
little
yeah,
bit
but
more
you're
like
more
that
willing
too, right?
to look after one another when times are good
Absolutely.
as well,
Yeah.
because that's built into that survival thing, because the whole group benefits. In the city,
Yeah.
you don't have that.
Mhm.
But that's kind of what I'm getting, is you need that. Because
Yeah.
like, I mean, for example, if Andrew all of a sudden became homeless and needed money, and I gave him some money, and I went to everyone else and I said, you know what?
What if I
in a
wasn't
really-
homeless and just needed money? Hypothetically.
I mean, we all need more. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
To
guns are
support the
not
show,
cheap,
become
but
a
like,
Patreon.
yeah.
What if
But
I
if
needed
he
an
truly,
Aston
truly
Martin?
needed it-
Would you all step up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if he
No.
truly needed the money and I donated him some money, because I was a nice guy and it helped him out. And then I went to all of you guys and go, Andrew's in a really tough spot. You should give him some money too. And you all go, yeah, no, I'm not going to. And then I pull a gun out and go, no, you're going to give him money. Is that right?
No.
That's how taxes work.
But
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
doing the right thing is the right thing. Being forced to do
Yeah,
the right thing
I
is
do
the
agree with
wrong
that.
thing.
I do agree with that.
So
Yeah.
while yes, we do need to fund some of these programs, the government literally putting a gun to your head to do it doesn't necessarily make it right, even
But
though like
No.
the ends are right, the means are certainly
right.
wrong.
And I
I-
don't disagree with that. I really don't disagree with that in terms of, the means and the ends and all that stuff. I guess it just
There-
kind of comes back to this idea of like, we are not set up.
No,
I
we
can't
were at
imagine.
one point, but we have
Absolutely. We've lost that element. And I think
Yeah.
part of that is because organized religion has gone out the window, and organized religion was one of the biggest promoters of community support, right? One of the biggest.
Don't
And
even start with me with religion.
well, that's
No,
okay.
but it was
No, but
I
it's
love
true
it.
though.
Well,
Like,
they were donating because they thought that it was the right thing to do, and if they didn't, like
well, that was like
God
the
would
good
smite them
Christian
and-
thing to do,
yeah.
right? Like that was
No.
like a
tithing
moral
and
thing.
all of the.
We
it
don't
was
get
built
enough
into-
people getting smited. We should get more of that.
No,
Maybe
but, so-
I don't
No
know if
one's
that's the
getting
right word. It might be
smited anymore.
smoked.
What the
It might
hell?
be smoked.
Well, I mean, I don't see any more
Smoked?
like
Well, if you're
ice
smitten, though,
giants
that's
around.
different.
Like,
Well, allow me to wrap this up with a very quick rapid fire thought exercise, and we'll round out the show.
Sure.
I have a button, and if you push the
Yes.
button,
Do it.
socialized medicine in Canada is gone. The survive people, they don't survive, but the
Do
thrive people, they do.
wait,
Do
wait,
you
wait.
push the
Is
button?
that wait?
Yes.
Is that one of the buttons
Yes.
on your pod shirt there that we see?
Yes. Well, I won't show you which button, but hypothetically, the button erases socialized medicine. But the survive people, they ain't making it. The survive people are done. There's no socialized.
so
Well, there's
define-
no welfare safety net. the survive people don't make it. They do not survive. The
This
thrive
is
people, though,
extremely complicated.
no, it's not. It's
No.
very simple. You push the button. The survive
Is it like
people
one of
are
those
not
big
making it.
Staples buttons that I can just
Yes.
smash like this?
I have a
Yeah.
Staples button around here somewhere. But
Easy
And it-
button.
Yeah, 10 out of
smash.
10.
you smash the easy
Yeah.
button. The survive people, they're not making it, but the thrive people, they do.
Slash it. Slash it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Nothing else
100%.
changes.
I can complicate this thought
Nope,
process.
You
No.
push the
But
button or not.
I am gonna
Yeah.
say push the button, but I will say you just got to remember moving forward, there's always going to be 2 tiers to society. So if you eliminate
Yes.
the lower one, another one gets created.
Yeah.
Just
Wait,
saying.
which
And I'm
one
okay
am I?
because I can slash them later when
Can
I
you tell me
fucking hit
which
that
one
button
am I?
again.
You might
Yeah.
be second wave lower. I don't know.
Okay.
I
There's
get
just
enough.
continuing to hit
I-
the button. Just doesn't
Yeah.
stop hitting the button.
I probably
Someone hit
have
the
enough
button,
lead to
please.
keep myself out of that bottom
Yeah, but I mean,
tier.
Smash.
But so
all day, every
so
day,
how has that
smash.
become my responsibility to worry about
I'm
someone
not-
else that
Wait.
decided?
Wait. My glass is in the way of the button.
empty.
Smash it with the glass.
Smash?
Smash it.
All right. So
Slash it, buddy.
Yeah.
Smash
Anyways,
it.
I
I
think
guess that
we're
makes
all in
me
a
the good
consensus.
socialist. I'm not going to push the button. I'm not killing all of the survive people.
Yeah.
for
And why the fuck did you bring this subject up to make all of
Because
us look like assholes?
no,
No,
well, I mean,
I mean,
don't know that you
I'm
need
middle
help,
road. I'm
but-
middle road, hands
No,
down.
I'm
no, Liz
100%
I had a
on the-
moral
Liz
dilemma.
was like,
I don't
gonna
even
push the
know which
button.
side
Darren's
I'm
going
on
to continue
anymore.
smashing the button.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I've got a
I'm-
moral dilemma.
No,
I
that's
have
fine.
Which one of you is actually hitting the button? I don't know.
I
No,
think
it's,
this,
it's a hypothetical. You
100%.
get to push the button, but the survive
no.
people, they don't make it
Which
if you hit the
button?
button.
But
The left
button that
one or
gets
the
rid of
right one?
socialized medicine.
we're not
No more
talking about the
socialized
The one
buttons
where
on his
you
shirts.
abolish
if all of a
socialized
sudden-
medicine
Which
but that
button?
and
I feel like
That
this
means
was a
we
bad
all
example.
we all have more tax money in
It
our
really
pockets, and then we
wasn't.
can privately fund those that need it.
I
Are
would
we
I
talking
would
about
They're
argue
not making it
though.
that
left
long,
button
bud.
or right button?
They're not
Yeah,
making
well,
it that long.
And here's what I would say is
Not my
that you're
problem.
assuming that everybody that has money also has a moral compass that is then going to invest some of that money back
Yeah,
into.
but I still
folks that
stand by
cannot-
my forcing people to do the right thing is not doing
Yeah,
the right
I
thing.
don't-
So
I don't agree with that either, but it's very challenging to make the decision of black and white in this
Yeah.
no.
instance.
So the problem with that analysis
that was
right
not a
there
racial
is-
joke, Darren.
No,
No. It's just like we
but
could
the
hard-
problem with
we
that
could start this
analysis,
conversation all over again. With
I
that.
know
Oh,
it's
dear.
true.
but the problem with that analysis
dear.
is that you're telling me I'm not competent enough, or
No, I don't
however
think
you
it's
wanna
not a
put it.
question
No.
of competency. I want
No,
it's a
I'm-
moral judgment. It's a trolley problem.
no. So
Yeah.
not the one
Exactly.
you asked, Andrew, but the one that Liz just said is that you're saying people that with money have morals. But I'm like, who are you to
People with
judge where
money don't
my
have
morals?
No,
morals?
I didn't
but
say
who-
I didn't say that. I didn't make blanket statements. I said
No.
that is
She- no,
assuming that
yeah.
people with
Yeah.
money are going to make a moral decision. And that is a variable that you're kind of putting people's life in the balance on the assumption that other people are going to do the right thing. You might do the right
So-
thing, Pierre, but
No, but so that's where I'm going. So whether I decide to make a judgment, whether it's based on being good morals or I want to be a dickhole and fuck you, I want to keep my money. As it stands right now, I
I
do
want to put
not.
that as a show title, but they're definitely not gonna.
No, but as it stands right now, I pay taxes. I do not have an option of where my money is invested. If I would like to donate all the taxes I pay into transgender studies to cut penises off and make vaginas or make ovaries testicles, that is my choice. But as it stands, boy, mais c'est ça le problème, là. I don't have
A lot
the
of
choice.
cussing in
As it
French.
stands, as
Ah.
it stands right now,
yeah.
I need to
So you
pay a
don't
certain
in-
amount
so
of my income. No, I-
So would
hold
you
on.
say that you
I'm
don't?
not-
Okay. go
I'm
ahead.
not right. I pay a certain amount in taxes, whether
Yes.
it be 20%, 30%, whether it be $2 a
Don't-
year or $20,000 a year. That's
Don't
Sure.
talk
beside
to
the
me
point.
about
No.
taxes.
I do
You're,
not
you're probably
get
paying more than
to-
that in taxes, but okay, go on.
But
I'm
I don't get to
paying
say
like
what.
40. I
Check.
want to hold on. I'll check. but I am paying 40. I want to say it's like over 40% in taxes.
Yeah.
Definitely over
be-
40 when you roll
before
around.
I even start buying anything.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but-
just what the government takes from me to get
So,
my paycheck.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm talking specifically. So we're talking provincial healthcare. So in Ontario, we pay OHIP, other provinces
Yeah.
or whatever. So not all of that 40% goes to that.
No, it doesn't.
Right. Which I mean, that's a whole
So-
other debate for how much you pay in other stuff and stuff you don't support. Blah,
Taxation
blah, blah.
is theft.
I've got a shirt for that.
Yes.
But
Okay.
Right,
So I'll
so-
to kind of like maybe hone in this conversation a little bit because we could
No.
bitch about taxes forever.
We
So
could.
what I got out of that, Pierre, is that it's not as much like obviously you don't like paying taxes. It's theft.
Yes.
We know that.
Yeah.
But if
you could just
did-
stop it right there. I'm good.
Okay, but okay. So part of
I
part
think
of
we
what
can all
pisses
agree
you
on
off though is that you just have zero control over the money that is forced out of your
Yeah.
pocket.
So
You don't
so
even
if
you don't have control over.
I
Where
have
it's
to be mandated to pay 30% or 40% of my net income because of what I do and
That's
whatever
even before you
qualifications I
buy
have.
anything.
And I have
Sure.
Right,
Yeah.
that's beside the point. We're not even. We'll cut
Move
that line
along,
off where
yes.
it's like, yeah, right. We're not even going to talk about me being taxed before I buy anything, right? So if the government is going to mandate me paying 30%
Sure.
of my income, right? I
Yeah,
make
you wanna have a say
$40
in
an
where
hour,
your-
and they want to
You
take
want
30%
to have
of
a
it.
say in where your income
Yeah,
tax goes.
can I say like I don't want a single dollar of my dollar to go towards 12-year-olds saying I want to be a boy, I want to be a
Sure,
girl,
I get what you're
I want to
saying.
be a cat, and I don't want any of my tax dollars.
I
to
think
go
that would
into
be
bidding
great democracy in action.
I would.
don't
I
disagree
don't
with
want
that.
my
We could
tax
vote
dollars
for
to go
what
into putting
our
a
tax
kitty
dollars
litter
go
in the
to.
school so that the
Yeah.
kid that wants to be a cat can go in a litter box.
So,
Right.
but
But
you know
but
what?
I'm up. But
You know
I'm up
what's
for
interesting,
taking
though?
all that allotment of money going
Yeah.
towards other programs.
Do you know
Yeah,
do you know
right.
what's interesting though, Pierre, is that a lot of the time when you donate to certain charitable organizations, you have the authority to actually tell them what fund within that organization or what direction you want your funds to go to. So that's
I
already
don't
a system.
trust-
No, so that's already a system that's set up. It's just not being utilized on a larger
Yeah,
governmental
so-
level,
so-
right?
So
Yeah,
the problem with
because
that is money I need to
the-
donate after the government mandated theft
Yeah.
taxation.
No, but
has been in
I'm just using it
place.
as an analogy, not like as something
Yeah,
you
so
should do.
but there
That's
is
the
a
problem. So
program
you've
that
already
exists
taken
similar to
30% of
what-
my
No,
income.
but what she's saying though is that the program you're talking about exists, just not at the governmental level
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it probably should exist. It
Yeah.
absolutely should exist on a free will donation thing because it's like I am giving you this money
Yeah.
of my own free will. You should spend it
Correct.
how I see fit,
Yeah.
or you're not going to get the money.
Mhm.
Correct.
But
Yes.
that's the problem is if I get taxed
doesn't
30,
exist.
40, 50%, whatever it is that you get taxed on your weekly, bi-weekly, monthly paychecks
I think
or
we should
whatever.
just go back to like
is-
feudal
Depending on the
states and
person,
have
it's like
castles with
30 to
moats.
40%.
Yes.
Is
I'd
anybody
have a
down for
castle.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I'm in.
I am all for going back to a very
But-
A
tribal
feudal-
society.
Yeah. I would like a
Who
castle
gets to
though.
be the doctor, though? I'm curious
I mean,
about
I
the
feel like
leeches.
I feel
Whoever
like
we
I could
I'll
do
decide
that.
YouTube
gets
the
to be-
shit.
I could
I'm
no,
good
I
with
could
it.
I feel like I could do that.
We can
I'll be
decide.
I'll
the-
YouTube it.
I'll be
I mean-
the crazy healing witch lady, whatever you want
Okay.
to call her.
Sign me
decide.
up.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll go
let's
for that.
let's go around the room. Where can everybody find your castles when you're not on the show? We'll start with Liz. Liz, where can everyone find you?
Probably best would be like Instagram or Facebook. I don't really check anything these days. I used to say that I was on Gilded, which I still am, but I'm never on that app. So like unless you want to be ghosted, don't be messaging me.
You should
All
just
right,
change
don't
the app
swipe
name to
right
Ghosted,
on
yeah.
Liz unless you
Probably
want to.
shouldn't anyway. I'm a handful.
So try not to message Liz at all.
I am tall.
Unless you want to get
I'm like
ghosted.
10 handfuls, Pierre.
Yeah.
Oh,
Handfuls is a lot of handfuls. Darren, you haven't been on the show in a while. Can you remind everybody where can they find you if they want more Darren related content?
Darren related content like me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, what's
Oh,
your
me?
OnlyFans, bro?
Yeah, check out OnlyFans. No, Just Google Thor Haven Farm, and we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. Pierre, where can everybody find you?
You can find me Monday nights here. You can probably figure out how to find me on Instagram. If you want a funky shirt that is probably not allowed to say on the internet, as per last week's episode, Off the Wall Customizing, we're on a bunch of the socialist medias, Tickety Talk, Instagram, Bookface, all that stuff. You won't talk to me, you'll talk to Mel, but that's beside the point. And Gilded, if you like private message me, I haven't been on there in a while, and there's way too many notifications for me to want to deal with it. So I just closed
Just
it.
mark all as read and start again. It's
That's
fine.
what I do.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I was like, oh, there's too much. I closed the app. I haven't opened up since.
Done.
So
Little overwhelmed. I get that.
Yeah.
Gavin, where can everybody find you?
The best place to find me is also on Instagram, UrbexGTA, but also go and support Darren and buy some amazing stuff. I bought his Yule hat and it's amazing.
Oh, dude, you gotta rock
So
that.
go support good people.
I looked up your website while we were on this chat.
The,
It
like
looks
to
pretty
what?
cool.
the scarves and everything are
Yeah.
quite nice too.
Yeah, I can provide a quality review of a scarf.
Yeah.
You guys
You've
rock.
listened to
What?
I could probably pick one up locally, buddy. We'll chat after.
Oh boy, this is gonna all be in French. There's gonna be so much cussing. If you've listened to all of this cussing, you deserve a discount code. If you're shopping at Ragnarok Tactical, use the discount code Patriot when you check out. Save yourself some money. Literally take money out of my child's college fund by using a discount code. Trying to guilt people into things. I have to apologize to Rod. We couldn't get Rod Giltack on the show tonight. Obviously, Darren is here, one guest panelist at a time. That is roughly the rule. I would, however, like to see a Darren and Rod Thunderdome match. So if you'd like to get Rod on the show, get in touch with Rod and see if we can get like Darren and Rod mano a mano. Winner takes a panelist seat. I feel like we could get some Patreon bucks for that.
If you don't have a Ragnarok tactical patch, then your life is empty.
Oh, I
Is
have
it-
like two. I have a doubly full
so
life then.
Liz is a handful
I
of
don't
life.
even have
I
one.
know. I have many
They've been out
handfuls
of
of life.
stock since
We've
I've been
talked
on the
about
fucking
this.
show.
Well, dude,
We
you
have
should have
lots of
taken.
patches.
You should have freaking taken a nav course.
We have lots of patches.
Look at
That's
that.
how I got
Sweet.
mine. I've taken 2 navigation courses, and that's how I got mine.
I
Oh,
got
She's a
drunk
handful, but
in
she's not
whose
lost.
backyard how many times?
Yeah, what? Sorry.
Like, I got drunk
definitely
many
a
times.
handful. Look at that ponytail.
Yeah, man.
Which ones?
Oh,
I got one too.
hello.
Well, I think we're going to wrap that up. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I feel like I owe you an apology, but I'd like to remind you instead that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.